Retirement conjures up some pretty sweet images, I gotta say. Sitting on the porch as the sun sets, tinkering with household chores in the middle of a weekday, driving the RV cross country. I mean, why not? But the reality is usually pretty different. People more often retire from one job and take up another, whether it's paid or volunteer, full or part-time. One woman in the southern Tug Hill Plateau has found her retirement sweet spot outdoors, teaching kids. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And from SciTech Business Solutions, training and consulting services to help businesses grow. More information at citec.org.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Wednesday, September 4th. First up, 2 people were arraigned on multiple charges, including murder, last night, after a 31-year-old man was gunned down in Plattsburgh early Tuesday morning. Catherine Wheeler has details.
At around 2:20 a.m. on Tuesday, police received multiple reports of a shooting on Cornelia Street in Plattsburgh. At the scene, they found 31-year-old Marcus Dixon with multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital where he died. Police allege that 24-year-old Chaz Johnson shot Dixon. Clinton County District Attorney Andrew Wiley says witnesses report that Dixon struck Johnson's girlfriend, Erica Colin, in an altercation on Monday night.
Then Erica called Mr. Johnson. He arrived, picked her up. They located Marcus Dixon when Marcus Dixon was then shot and killed.
Police executed search warrants at Johnson and Colin's room at the Pioneer Motel in Plattsburgh, where they found a handgun that's consistent with the rounds found at the scene.
Chaz Johnson will be charged with murder in the second degree, criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and Erica Colin will be charged with conspiracy in the second degree, as well as possession of a weapon in the fourth degree.
Wiley attributed the quick arrest to the collaboration between local, county, and state law enforcement agencies. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio.
Governor Kathy Hochul says she fired a former aide who yesterday was arrested for allegedly working for China's government. Linda Sun and her husband Chris Hu pleaded not guilty yesterday. The U.S. Justice Department alleges Sun was taking payments from China's Communist Party. Former NCPR reporter Brian Mann, who's now working for NPR, of course, spoke with Morning Edition's Steve Inskeep earlier this morning about the case.
Okay, what does the indictment say?
Yeah, it says that Linda Sun, who was an important player in New York politics and government for more than a decade, worked in secret for China as early as 2016, failing to register as an agent of a foreign government. What the FBI says is that one of her missions, Steve, was to quietly use her influence to block New York officials from having contact with representatives of Taiwan. China, of course, has worked for decades to isolate Taiwan diplomatically. Sun also allegedly rewrote official pronouncements issued by former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and the current Governor Kathy Hochul, shaping those announcements to be more pro-China.
Okay, so working for different word choices by a New York state governor, what did China allegedly pay for that?
According to the indictment, Beijing officials funneled millions of dollars in cash into businesses owned by Linda Sun's husband, Chris Hu, money the couple allegedly disguised in part by laundering it through luxury real estate. The FBI also says one Chinese government official, Steve, showed gratitude to the family by having a chef in the Chinese consulate in New York repeatedly send Nanjing-style salted duck. These payments and gifts allegedly continued for years. And again, to be clear, Sun and Hu have pleaded not guilty to these charges. They're free on bond this morning with court-ordered restrictions on their travel.
Okay, so a little bit of duck, a few $1 million. What does Governor Kathy Hochul say about these allegations against one of her own aides?
Hochul says her team first identified misconduct by Sun last year and quickly fired her, reporting her alleged activity to law enforcement. Hochul spoke last night to NPR member station WNYC.
I'm furious and I'm outraged and absolutely shocked at how brazen her behavior was. It was a betrayal of trust. The scope of what she was capable of doing is shocking.
Linda Sun also worked as a top aide to Grace Meng when Meng was in the New York State Assembly. She's now a member of Congress from New York. Through much of that time, again, Steve, the FBI says she was actually working for China.
Okay, so I'm trying to think this through, Brian. These are allegations about an aide to the governor of one state. I mean, a big and important state, but one American state. It makes me think that there must be, if these allegations were true, there must be a very widespread Chinese influence campaign in the United States.
The FBI has been warning about this kind of activity for years, urging government officials, state and federal, to be vigilant. I spoke with Casey Michel, who's an expert on foreign lobbying in the U.S. He says there is evidence of influence networks funded by China that operate underground.
We have seen, though, other suspicious, other shady, other potentially unregistered, potentially criminal Chinese-related foreign lobbying networks.
Last month, in a separate case, Steve, another New York resident, Xujun Wang, was convicted on federal charges. He worked as a spy on China's behalf. Prosecutors say Wang could be sentenced up to 25 years behind bars. If they're found guilty, Linda Sun and Chris Hu also face serious prison time.
That was longtime NCPR reporter Brian Mann, now with NPR, speaking on Morning Edition this morning. For many people, retirement doesn't necessarily mean being done with work. Volunteering or working part-time keeps folks busy and engaged with their communities and sometimes can help pay the bills. Today's North Country at Work story is about one of those so-called retirement jobs. Anna Williams-Bergen has more.
Diane Hauserman is a retired actuary from Boonville. Like many retirees, she's picked up a fun part-time gig. She leads kids on field trips for an outdoor education program.
Yeah, I love to tell them I'm 62, especially when they start complaining that they're tired.
The Black River Outdoor Education Program takes school kids outside, hiking, biking, cross-country skiing around Boonville in the southern Tug Hill Plateau. In 2015, the program needed more educators, and Hauserman's friend was recruiting.
She said, I know you love outdoor activities, I know you're athletic, and you're retired. So it was perfect.
The Black River Outdoor Education Program is about environmentalism, athleticism, and enjoying the outdoors.
It's been a very growing experience for me, which is a perfect retirement job because it keeps me active and learning new things, new skills.
A lot of the outdoor educators are former teachers with years of wrangling kids under their belts. Not Hauserman. She worked in insurance, so this was all pretty new to her.
And I'll just say right now, my admiration for teachers increased a lot after starting this job. They really know how to control the group and make it fun.
Hauserman is really passionate about the power of getting kids outside. She says she's gotten to see firsthand just how much it can change them, helping kids gain confidence and get out of their shells. She remembers one of her first times leading a kayaking trip when one student struggled to navigate Black Creek.
I got him into the water, and he was in one bank, and then he was in the other bank, and then he was back, and then he was just going back and forth, and I'm trying to talk him through it. Then I finally just stepped back and let him try, and he got it figured out. And by the end of the day, that young man was paddling so well.
Hauserman says she's learned to give students who can be tough to handle in the classroom responsibility on their outings.
You're my leader. The job of the leader is to keep everybody together. It is not to be the fastest. It is not to be the best. It is to make sure the group stays together and stays safe. And some of those kids that are hard to contain grab onto that, and they just really excel as the leader.
The outdoor education program is a no-phone zone. And for as much as we hear about kids being addicted to their screens, Hauserman says her students don't miss them.
Only once did I have one student say, well, I have an MP3 player, and I, nope, can't do that. And he's the only one that's ever grumbled to me about it with the hundreds of kids that I've coached.
Hauserman says the kids are usually just too busy having fun.
At the end of the day, so many of them say this is the best day ever. I mean, they're not in school sitting at their desk doing math, so there is that.
Hauserman tells students who relish being outdoors to come back and bring their families. The Black River Outdoor Education Program loans out equipment like bikes and skis for free at their Potato Hill farm in Boonville. For North Country Public Radio's North Country at Work project, I'm Anna Williams-Bergen in Boonville.
This story was recorded at a North Country at Work event in Boonville. If you want to share your work story, we have another event coming up in Westport next Tuesday, September 10th, so a week from yesterday, at the Public Library. Our team will be recording your North Country at Work stories from noon to 5 p.m. Everyone is welcome. That's Tuesday, September 10th from noon to 5 p.m. at the Westport Library. We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Oscar Sarmiento of Potsdam and Paul Myers of Colton. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.